Welcome to the Stardom Fantasy
Oh my
Football
God, what was
Podcast.
that?
Yeah, you like that? Switched it up on you. Caught you guys on your feet here. I saw Ashton's eyes go from this to this
I
real
started
quick. So
I started
I
paying
think that
attention
was
again.
I think that was shock.
Ashton told us before the show that he doesn't pay attention a lot of times, so I had to throw him a little curveball here. We are into week 6 of the NFL season. We've got some crazy news to go over today. We have listener lineup questions, ins and outs, the second half of the weekly matchups, and then starts and sits of the week. How you guys feeling going into week 6? If you're looking at all your fantasy teams, I don't know how many leagues you guys are in this year, but 6 weeks in, how are you guys feeling about your teams?
So it's an emotional roller coaster sometimes, Stefen. One league is just kind of heartbreaking. It's one of the leagues I'm commissioning, and I'm not doing so hot. I've literally played everyone on their best week, so I'm putting up points. I'm second in points per team in the league, but somehow struggling right now. So need to switch it up. But I had some good waivers. Hopefully, to switch things around this week, get a W.
Are you listening to the podcast?
Oh no. Yeah.
Well, there's your problem.
Yeah.
There it is.
See, folks, this is what happens.
Jacob, what about yourself?
I'm feeling pretty confident in most of my leagues. I mean, I'm playing in too many leagues. I will say that. I am playing in 5. What a mistake that
You're
was.
playing in too many, like M-I-N-I or
One,
M-A-N-I?
one too many. T-O-O.
Oh?
One
Yeah,
too many.
The M-A-N-Y, not M-I-N-I. Not like mini,
Oh, that's
not
correct.
like miniature.
Not the
leagues.
mini ones. They're full size. Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, just making sure I understood.
I've actually somehow magically avoided the injury bug. Like it's we'll see how it goes.
That's pretty impressive. All right, well, enough lollygagging here. Let's jump straight into the news.
News and notes.
Before we get into the news, I just want to give our listeners a heads up that Ashton and I had a very serious talk with Jacob about his sound drops, and he has been given a warning. So you guys can rest easy knowing that there will not be 1,000 sound drops today.
It's a verbal warning. Next will be written.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't
From
think you guys
there-
understand how much fan mail I got. My mailbox was full of letters, love notes.
There it was.
Email box was just overflowing as well. I was getting them all day long. And they were all telling me the same thing, that I need to stop. So we'll wait a couple weeks till I'll bring it back.
So in half hour from now.
Correct.
All right, let's jump into the news. Really, I just have one news line I've got written down. I don't know about you guys, but the biggest news is the Leveon Bell drama seems to have come to an end. As we told you guys on last show, Leveon Bell was released from the grasp of Adam Gase and the New York Jets. But as of a few hours ago, word on the streets is that Leveon Bell is signing a 1-year deal with the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, I guess I start the question by, what do you guys make of this? What is y'all's thoughts about this? Were you expecting Kansas City to be, someone that would be considered here?
Yeah, he was. That was one of the teams on my list for a landing spot. It just makes sense with, how Andy Reid uses his running backs, how they continue to pass the ball a lot to CH right now. I think Le'Veon Bell's another one of those running backs that would be a perfect fit in that play scheme. Plus, he has a little bit more experience on the field than CEH, and we could be a good colleague, I guess, for a layer there to learn from, especially
mentorship,
especially when it comes to punching through into the end zone there, which seems to be a little bit of an issue for Allaire. So I think he's going to pick up some goal line work as well.
Yeah, it's kind of terrifying for CEH owners, which I just so happen to not get any shares of him this year. But I mean, it's probably better for Alera's future, and also, the Damian Williams opted out. Everyone obviously knows that. But that was, I think that was a pretty big hit to their running back room. I'm assuming that Andy Reid, he's a great coach. I think he's going to figure the best way to utilize them both, and I think they'll both still have value. I think Bell's value has gone up a little bit, and I think CEH is going to take a little bit of a step back. And he was already kind of underperforming in some people's metrics, like Ashton talked about in touchdowns, and I don't think that's going to get any better. So hopefully they could throw him out there like Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and that'd be the best comparison you could hope for.
Right. So that actually leads me to my next question for y'all. In terms of rest of the season rankings, after this move, what is y'all's thoughts on Bell and Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Before this move, I checked, and the current ECR expert consensus rating for the rest of the season for Clyde Edwards-Helaire and half point was running back 11. And then for Le'Veon Bell, it was running back 41. After this move, where do you guys see that kind of changing, or do you see that changing?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think Bell's going to have way more opportunity to get more touchdowns now playing for the Chiefs than he ever was with the Jets. So I think his ranking could definitely punch up a lot higher. I mean, as far as CH, I mean, that's kind of a wait and see. Like Jacob said, I think they're going to find a way to use them both and let their talent shine through whatever creative play calls they're going to design and come up with. But I think this is a bigger opportunity for Bell than it is a hit for CEH.
Yeah, I'm thinking CEH is going to be around the 15 to 18 mark. I think it's going to drop him back a bit. I don't think he's going to be RB1 anymore. And for Bell, I think he'll probably break into probably like an RB3, a little closer to 30, maybe start approaching, but from the get-go, because it's still a new team. I know it's a little bit easier for running backs to transition to new teams, but still it's a new team, new playbook. So I think it'll take some time before he really starts just taking those valuable touches from CEH. But for now, I'd say he's probably around 30-ish.
See, I am actually a little bit worried. I know you brought up the Chubb and Kareem Hunt situation as kind of a comparable, but I think it's hard.
That's wishful thinking right there.
It's hard to imagine a situation like that just because
Patrick Mahomes is your QB.
Well, Cleveland is so run heavy. Like their
Right.
offense is so built around the run that it's fair to assume that they both have such a significant role. But Kansas City's offense is quite different. Like it tends to lean more on the pass than on the run, or it's at least a lot more balanced. So I just can't see both of these guys being consistent weekly starters. So I am kind of worried that we might be into another situation like we have on a couple teams where it's just like, who's going to be the guy that week? So that's what I am worried about for CEH and Le'Veon Bell owners. But I mean, CEH should be fine this week and probably next week as well, as Le'Veon Bell gets acquainted with that playbook and the offense. Well, I think that's enough talking about the Bell situation for now. Let's jump into the listener lineup questions for the week. As always, if you guys do have any questions about your lineups that you want us to weigh in on and give our advice on, feel free to send them to any of our socials: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can shoot it to us on a message, on our comment on our videos on YouTube, whatever way that you guys prefer. But let's jump into the first one. I'm not going to lie to you. This is actually a question that I'm curious about. It's one of my lineups. So I am curious to see what y'all's thoughts are.
Which league?
If
it's our league, you're getting bad advice from us. Isn't that right, Ashton?
Yes.
All right.
See what happened.
Half point PPR. I don't want you to tell me who to play. I want you to just rank them 1, 2, and 3. Okay. These are 3 wide receivers. Rank them how you would rank them 1, 2, and 3. We have Jamison Crowder against Miami, Juju Smith-Schuster versus Cleveland, and A.J. Brown versus Houston. Out of those three, give me a little 1, 2, 3 breakdown for me.
That's hard.
Crowder's
I
been
wanna
so
ask this question.
Crowder's been so consistent, but I think AJ Brown could have a bigger game against Houston. I think his ceiling's higher than Crowder's is in this game. I would go Brown, Crowder, and Juju.
Something I'm gonna discuss later. But I'll give a different. Don't worry about this, guys. It's AJ Brown, Juju, Crowder for me. Sam Darnold's out again. I know Crowder did okay with Flacco, but Sam Darnold's out again, and they lost Bell, and Adam Gase is still there. So that's my order.
So at this point, are we not giving enough respect to Jamison Crowder? So what is it going to take for us to truly consider Crowder like a weekly play?
Crowder's legit.
I mean, he is. You can play him. You asked me to rank them. I didn't say you can't play the guy.
He's just not exciting. Like he's not a. I mean, if Juju was putting up the same numbers as Crowder on a consistent basis, then people would be all over it,
Right?
Because it's Juju. But because it's Jamison
and
Crowder,
he plays for the Steelers. Okay, there's other things going on. It's because he plays for the Jets. Honestly, that's the issue.
Well, obvious, but he can't change that now. Okay, this is the situation we're in. How many weeks of consistent performance is it going to take?
I don't think it's ever going to be recognized.
We're always going to ask this question: should Crowder be?
He will never be good enough for me.
All right, let's jump into the next one. Another half-point situation. We got a couple of really good running backs to choose from here. They're asking for us to pick 3. We have James Robinson versus Detroit, Mike Davis versus Chicago, Alexander Madison versus Atlanta, and Joe Mixon versus the Colts. Pick 3 of the 4.
Madison, Robinson, and Davis.
I'm curious how this matchup's going to go with Chicago for Davis. You know, obviously he's clearly been dominating the world, and the Chicago Bears, they're like middle of the pack and run defense, is about the 14th best in the league. And Davis has obviously been fantastic, but I guess you got to sit Mixon in this situation. I know it sounds crazy compared to these names, but
I mean, who do you think has the tougher defense in this situation? Davis versus Chicago or Mixon versus Indy?
Indy's top 5 run defense.
I mean, Mixon's talented. I mean, he's obviously
but he's been up and down. That offensive line sucks. I mean,
I know. I'm really high on Davis. Yeah,
probably the most inconsistent of those 4. Even though Madison hasn't. I mean, Madison's only played a half as the starter, and allegedly there's still a chance Cook plays, but I think that'd be stupid.
Think about what you just said. Mixon is more inconsistent than
James Robinson.
James Robinson, who we were scratching our head at the beginning of the season this year about him. Mike Davis. I mean, these are all
CMC's backup. These wasn't even supposed to be the straight up backup. Yeah.
Yeah, these weren't even on anyone's radar at the beginning of the season.
That's fantasy football, baby.
That's incredible.
Yeah, we were worried about, Mixon going up against a tough defense last week, but proved he could get it done against Baltimore. So, he got 25 carries in week 4 and 24 carries last week. So it's hard to sit someone and 6 receptions at both games. So he's getting around 30 touches a game. It's hard to sit someone realistically, even though the matchup's hard, with 30 touches a game. It seems like the floor is super safe there. But I think all 4 of those options are pretty good ones to choose from.
Stefen always bringing us back to reality.
Let's jump into the last one. This one's actually a standard league. We have Miles Sanders against Baltimore, Clyde Edwards-Helaire versus Buffalo, and then David Montgomery versus Carolina Panthers. I don't know if they're asking for 2 or 1. I guess just rank them.
Just 1.
Okay, just 1.
Because they are streaming Madison and Davis.
I would say Helaire against Buffalo.
Yeah, I think I'd take Clyde Edwards-Helaire as well.
And that would be the story, right? That Allaire goes off and has a great game right before Bell comes in to make it even more of a head scratcher as to what the hell's going to happen.
Well, so I think that the question there really is David Montgomery, he's going to be playing against the worst running defense in the league. He just has a better matchup than the other guys, and I think that's what this person was trying to decide between. But yeah, I think he has CEH in there currently, but had asked this question. And there was a trade that someone had asked me about as well. And I mentioned it to Stefen earlier. I wanted to get your opinion on it, Ashton.
Mm-hmm.
Would you trade Miles Sanders, or someone offered you Miles Sanders for Robbie Anderson?
I get rid of Robbie Anderson for Miles Sanders.
Yep. Would you do it?
I don't think so.
Wow.
I think I'd keep Robbie Anderson right now.
Yeah, I said it was.
He's a clear-cut wide receiver 1. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly dependent. We say it all the time when we talk about trade. It's clearly dependent on what your team needs, right? Like, if you're really hurting for wide receiver, then obviously don't trade away Robbie Anderson. He's been super consistent. But if you really need a running back, Miles Sanders might be really good over the second half.
That's a big if. That's a big if.
Yeah. So the team has DJ Moore. So he had DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson, but he still has DJ Moore and Robert Woods and Keenan Allen.
Oh, he's stacked a wide receiver.
I think DJ Moore only saw like 5 targets last week, right? And he
has Devontae Parker, and he picked up Claypool on the waiver.
Yeah, he could trade away a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then pick up Miles Sanders. But I mean,
because he's gonna have that, and or he has Kamara as well.
Oh yeah, he's
so that'll be a nice little stickety stack.
Yep.
But he's also got Myles Gaskin. So yeah,
Miles
just wanted to talk
Gaskin's
about that. Let's get on to some injuries. Is that what we got next?
Yeah, so I'll just shoot them out to you guys like always. Give me the lowdown if they're going to play or not. We'll start it. Seems to be someone who's making a regular appearance on the segment. Jimmy G.
He's fine. He's been practicing fully this week. Stefen might have been right that this was all a sham, that he just played really bad.
I had to cover it up. Drew Lock.
Drew Lock is also back to full practicing, and he is a lock to play this week.
Noah Fant.
Same team. Poor guy. He's practiced in limited capacity. According to the coach, it's a 50-50 chance. So if you're a Noah Fant owner, I would look to have someone there for backup.
Yeah, I think they have a 1 o'clock game, so at least that part's good. You don't have to hold on hoping if he's a Sunday or Monday night. All right, Sam Darnold.
He is out. The Flacco Master will be back.
All right, Alshon Jeffrey.
I'm sick of talking about this freaking guy. He seems to get in these limited practices, but it seems like they're kind of, what I read today is that they're looking for him to get through a full practice and not have any soreness or anything like that and just be ready to go. So he's still a game time decision this week. But don't worry, Travis Fulgham's out there for you people.
What about Julio?
Julio did not practice the past 2 days. And it's that hammy once again. He's questionable, but it's not looking great if he can't get in any sort of practice this week.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other piece of news that we forgot to bring up is there were some positive COVID tests for Atlanta.
Stefen, I can't see your head, man.
Oh,
there you go.
Oh, there he is.
There were some positive COVID tests for Atlanta. They've shut down the facilities. There hasn't been
we got an update on that update with another update.
Let's hear
that it was just one assistant coach is what the positive ended up being. And they could have gone back and practiced this afternoon if they wanted to, but they were being cautious and just said, let's do virtual. And then we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Fair enough. Just keep an eye on it, though. We've seen that games have been rescheduled,
Yep.
Games have been pushed out. So keep an eye on that. Probably make some plans just in case those guys can't go, either Minnesota or Atlanta. So Next one we have is Deontay Johnson.
So Deontay Johnson has a little backy problem. He hurt his back a little bit. He was been limited this week though, so it seems like he is on the mend, and he's still questionable. He's not like guaranteed to go. Just follow the news and see if he practices Friday.
Gotcha. Kyle Allen.
Kyle Allen should be good to go. Just dealing with an arm injury, but he should be back.
Okay. Sammy Watkins.
Will most likely be out at least 2 weeks dealing with a hamstring injury.
Dealing with a ham.
Hammy.
Oh, I thought you were talking about ham, like the deli meat. Okay.
Yeah. Honey
A couple
glazed.
sandwiches.
Honey glazed.
Been busy with the ham. Gotcha.
Very nice.
Russell Gage.
Has a shoulder injury. He was limited in practice. Consider him 50-50 right now.
Okay. DJ Chark.
He's missed 2 practices so far. He needs to be at least limited tomorrow, Friday, or today, whenever you're listening to the podcast. But should have a chance to play.
Dalvin Cook.
He's got an adductor strain, hasn't practiced, and is doubtful.
Christian McCaffrey.
Rule said he would be not active, so he will be
Still in the
out.
IR.
Yep.
Not taking him off yet.
Yep.
How about Chris Godwin?
He's been limited for consecutive days, but should be expected to play.
That'd be nice. And then Devontae Adams.
He's back, ready to go, ready for some action.
Nice. I'm sure Devontae Adams owners are happy to hear that.
Been out since week 2. What a loser!
Whoa. Shots fired.
I've been trying to trade for him so hard, nobody will give him to me.
I've had him sitting on my bench, so I'm ready for him to.
I
You're
have
one
him
of
in
those
the
guys.
as well. All right, let's jump into the second half of matchups. If we do not cover your matchup on the show, make sure to check out Tuesday's episode. Or did we do it? Did we release it on Wednesday this week? Not sure. But make sure to check out the episode before where we covered the first half of Week 6 matchups. Let's jump into the first one. We have the Denver Broncos versus the New England Patriots. They should both be getting their quarterbacks back who have missed some games now. So we should see Drew Lock and Cam Newton at it. We have some, uncertainty with the Melvin Gordon issue. He got a DUI. There hasn't been any ruling yet. Typically, the NFL leaves legal issues up to the team until they're worked out. And
I'm surprised Jacob didn't drop a police siren. Drop right there.
We told you, gave him the warning.
You guys don't want it. You don't want it. You don't get it.
So I guess let's start on that side of the ball. For Denver, with Drew Lock hopefully back, we don't have any sort of guaranteed news on whether or not Melvin Gordon will play this game. He has been practicing though, so assume he's a go until you hear otherwise. Phillip Lindsay should be back in the action. We have a 50-50 on Noah Fant, so there's a lot of uncertainty on the Denver side. How are you guys kind of approaching Denver players this week?
Well, just based off of history, typically the NFL and organizations that deal with these type of incidents, they usually wait for things to come to fruition with that. So usually a hearing and judgment to the courts. So I'd be surprised if Gordon didn't play, because it's usually after the sentencing or result of the trial that they decide on their punishment, right? So if he sits out, I'd be kind of shocked, but that's something you have to keep a close eye on, and probably won't know until right before the game.
But they are playing the Patriots, so does that change how you feel?
Not really. So, I would still be hesitant, even if he was playing, to consider him a strong RB option for this week.
I'm kind of on that same boat. Like if these guys are injured, the Patriots have an extra week of rest, just like them. But if they're still injured, and they're out there in a limited capacity, that's kind of not the situation you want to get into with the Patriots defense. So like, I mean, if Fant's out, Judy has to get looks, but he's probably going to get Stephon Gilmore. Let's be honest here. And on the Patriots side too, Denver's not a slouch defense. So, I think you can start Cam I don't know if I want any part of the running back carousel. I mean, maybe Edelman. What do you guys think on that side?
I think if Edelman has a bounce back, it would be with Cam coming back. But he just hasn't. I mean, aside from his career high game with Cam before, I think Cam got injured.
COVID. He got the Rona.
Well, got the Rona. So, I mean, he hasn't really been the same Edelman that we've seen in previous years with Brady, and we obviously anticipated that coming into this season with Brady gone. But you still would think that he'd have some sort of upswing here. But if there's a game for him to bounce back, I think this could be it. But I'm not anticipating a big game right now. So I'm still hesitant. I have him on my bench, but I'm not starting him.
Yep. And yeah, we didn't get to see New England obviously last week. So we haven't really got a clear-cut idea on this backfield yet. We saw the week before when Damian Harris came off the IR that he led that backfield. We had some question marks going into it last week on whether or not that backfield stays the same. But I think this week should provide a little bit more clarity on what actually that backfield is going to look like going forward. So I think this is going to be a big week if you have either Burkhead or Damian Harris, even James White, just to see how this backfield shakes up for the rest of the season.
If you have to start one of the three, who are you going to start?
Damian Harris.
That's the correct
Jinx.
answer.
All right.
Is there anyone else in these games that you guys are thinking about?
No, I mean, I don't think if you have Philip Lindsay, if you picked him up, he might have been dropped in your league. So if you picked him up on the waiver wire, if you've been stashing him the whole time, I don't think this is the time to start him unless there's
this is not the time.
Unless there's clear-cut news that Melvin Gordon is out. If Philip Lindsay is splitting the backfield with Royce Freeman, sure, Melvin Gordon can be. I mean,
Lindsay
Philip
can
Lindsay
be streamed.
he can be a flex consideration.
Okay.
All right, let's jump into the next one. We have the New York Jets, the Le'Veon Bell-less New York Jets versus the Miami Dolphins. We've already spoken a little bit about this Jets team. There's really nobody of interest here except for Jamison Crowder. But what about on the Miami side? We've seen that Myles Gaskin just has a ton of volume, hasn't been crazy efficient. What do y'all make of Myles Gaskin versus the Jets?
I think he's a go. He's been pretty consistent, pretty solid. Just getting the usage anyway. I know Matt Breida actually got a little bit more involved this past week, but I ain't worried about no Jets defense. Even though they have been okay against the run, I guess, if 30th is good to you. So 30th out of 32.
It could be worse.
That's true.
Not by much, but could be.
What about Ryan Fitzpatrick? I know, Ashton, you like Fitzpatrick. Has pieced together a couple good games now. Are you happy to stream Fitzpatrick against the Jets?
Yes. I don't know why he isn't owned in more leagues. It baffles me, but he's been doing well. I'm shocked.
What do you consider
the Jamison Crowder of QBs?
Oh, easily the Jamison Crowder of QBs right now.
Well, I guess the question is though, if you're curious about why he isn't rostered in more leagues, do you consider Ryan Fitzpatrick a top 12 season-long quarterback?
I mean, at this rate, he could be. I mean, you keep hearing conversations about when Tua's coming out, but Fitzpatrick hasn't really given them a reason to bring in Tua yet. So
yeah, I think he had like 1 or 2 games he struggled a little bit, and that's when the murmur started coming. But it didn't seem like it was that bad or anything like that.
All I know is I've been more than surprisingly shocked with Miami's performance this year. So until I see something different, I don't think it's enough for them to say, "Oh, let's dump Fitzpatrick and bring in Tua." Yeah. So Tua's going to be exciting to watch when he comes in, but Fitzpatrick is
QB7.
He's been pretty dependable this year. I mean, and I think he's still worth holding on to as a QB. So if you are in need and he's still on your if he's still available in your leagues, he's worth a pickup.
Has 20 points in every game except for week 1. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it was the interceptions in that one game. He had 2 picks and just didn't look good in that Seattle game. And that's real life. That's not fantasy.
I think his history is probably holding him back from people rostering him more because he'll put up big games and then he'll put up really bad games. But he hasn't really put up really bad games this year. I mean, obviously, you just said his numbers, so I mean, this is the most consistent I've seen him in a long time, and I think that's saying something.
Well, he did have 5 points in week 1. That's all I believe. I get it. Yeah.
I mean, I get it. Week 1, you got to shake everything off. But
yeah, he had the Patriots that week too, so fair enough. All right, let's jump into the next one then. Yeah, the Green Bay Packers taking on Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We got Aaron Rodgers v. Tom Brady. We've already seen Tom Brady and Drew Brees go at it. Now we see another 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks here. What do you guys make of the Green Bay side of the ball? We know that they've been pretty electric on offense this year. Is there anybody on this offense that deserves a look outside of Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, and Devontae Adams?
Not for me, not this week. Obviously, Tanyan has been great with Devontae Adams out, but I'm still worried about what that role is going to look like with Adams back. So I picked him up in one league, and I'm not ready to play him yet. Against a stout defense like this, it's tough. It's tough.
I'm not going to deny Tanyan right now. I mean, I think he's shown his worth. I mean, it was in week 4 when he had a great game. This is the first time we'll really see him back in this situation. So I think he's still got a shot. And even though Adams is coming back, I think he'll still have some opportunity here. I'll dive into that a little bit more later, though.
Okay. Should Adams, coming off the injury, should Adams be right back into that top 3 wide receiver range?
I don't know, but I'm so distracted with your head continuing to disappear. It reminds me of that picture in Back to the Future when Marty keeps looking at it and notices.
Yeah, he's just fading.
Can you repeat your question, please?
I'm trying to get this. You know what? I'm going to take the backdrop off.
No, don't.
Stop being distracted.
Don't let them see what it is. No, you can't do that.
Okay.
Gotcha. Oh my God.
That was good timing. It was actually kind of like right when I switched it off. It's like I did. But yeah, so do you expect Devontae Adams coming off the injury? He's been out since week 2. Do you expect him to come back and maintain that like top 3 status right off the bat? Or do you expect it to kind of be shaking some rust off?
I think this is going to be a high scoring game. I mean, I think it's going to be the game of the week, Green Bay versus Tampa Bay. I hope I'm not disappointed with this game. I want Adams to go off and put up some numbers because I want him to boost my team that he's in right now. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not counting out Aaron Rodgers and I'm not counting out the connection with Devontae Adams. I think the only setback would be as if he has any physical setbacks. So as long as he comes out and remains healthy, doesn't pull his hamstring again or do anything like that, then I think he could easily bounce back into top 3.
Yeah, I mean, like I said,
go ahead. I was just gonna say, even though Tampa Bay's secondary is pretty solid, it's Devontae Adams and it's Aaron Rodgers, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm definitely seeing a wide receiver 1 performance out of him this week. I don't know how high it's gonna be just because he has been out so long. Like that, that's like 4 weeks. That's a long time. You know what I mean? But I'm hoping he can just get that connection and just do fine with Rodgers. Rodgers has been lighting it up. Tampa's pass defense are like a little bit middle of the pack. Their run defense is really where they're very stout. So I think Devontae Adams, actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say he's going to be top 5 this week. I'll give him that.
Wow, bold take out of you. That's hard to accomplish. All right, let's jump over to the Tampa Bay side of the ball. We've seen now consecutive games from Ronald Jones where he's eclipsed the 100-yard mark on the ground. Do you guys consider this backfield a done deal, that it's Ronald Jones's to lose now, or do you still think it's going to change on a weekly basis?
I think Ronald Jones looks good, man. He's been doing work. I think he's gonna keep the bigger load this week as Fournette. I know Fournette was on for one play, but I think Jones is just gonna have he's proved. I think he's proved it that he's more than capable. Green Bay, they're not that great against the run. Who knows if we'll see some good usage out of both of them? But I think Jones. I think you can play Jones pretty confidently this week, somewhat confidently this week. 80% confidence this week.
I agree with Jacob here. I think Ronald Jones has shown too much explosion to not be allowed the opportunity in that backfield. I think they're going to start utilizing Fournette more of a I don't know, more of a big size body roll. Even though I'm so shocked with how many highlights I've seen of Ronald Jones this season, where it takes 5-6 defenders to stop him and bring him down. I think the concern with Ronald Jones is maybe some of the pass catching and missed opportunities, and I think he's had one too many fumbles to make them a little bit more worried than he probably should allow them to feel. But outside of that, I mean, his vision, his explosion coming through the line is pretty impressive. So I think they're going to still give him the ball and give him opportunity.
Okay. So we've seen Green Bay's secondary pretty impressive at shutting down wide receivers. Mike Evans has been finding the end zone every week, is a touchdown machine. I don't know if he's leading the league currently in touchdowns or what, but it has to be pretty close. But now we're expecting Chris Godwin to return to the action. We were all saying before the season started that we expected Chris Godwin to be the bigger benefactor of Tom Brady's style. But obviously Evans has been capitalizing on Chris Godwin being out. Now that Chris Godwin is returning, what do you make of Mike Evans and Chris Godwin? How do you have him ranked against this tough secondary in Green Bay?
I mean, Mike Evans has been touchdown dependent. I think Chris Godwin's going to bring a lot more to the table here as far as his route running and his. I mean, I can't put too much on a connection with Tom Brady because we haven't seen it. So I'm hoping that Godwin comes in and becomes that clear cut number one for Brady. But that's yet that's yet to be determined. So
yeah, it's a tough matchup this week. And Evans is still dealing with some soreness in that ankle, but he's playing through it. I don't think I think it's the same thing Ashton was just talking about. He's just probably he'll probably catch a little touchdown. I think Godwin's gonna probably rack up more yards. That's kind of how we've seen it with Scotty Miller and the other guys filling in for Godwin. Is they're getting all the yards for the most part, but then they get down the goal line. Mike Evans, big guy, he's taken the touchdowns home, and I think it's gonna be pretty much the same. But Godwin is obviously better than Scotty Miller, and he's able to break off some of those bigger plays and get those touchdowns. But it's gonna be a tough matchup this week. So
Mike Evans has molded into what I think, or at least I had anticipated Gronkowski being for Brady this year, which is being the hot red zone end zone target. So,
you still like Gronk?
No, I didn't say that.
He's going to go back to every show that you talked about Gronk.
Three touchdowns this year. Yeah, he's going to come through this game. I feel it.
You said that every game. Yeah, I mean, Mike Evans has 6 touchdowns through 5 weeks.
Yeah, him and Adam Thielen have the most at 6.
Yeah, has had a touchdown in every single game. So touchdown dependent or not, like if he's scoring a touchdown in every game, like that's pretty dependent. All right, let's jump into the next matchup. We have the LA Rams taking on the San Francisco 49ers. Battle of California here. So let's start on the Rams side. Again, we always have this confusing backfield. There's quite a few teams now that have these committee backfields. Henderson has looked to be the guy in the last couple of weeks. Found the end zone twice last week, one on the ground, one through the air, but wasn't really efficient in terms of yardage. We have Cam Akers back for a second consecutive week. We still have Malcolm Brown in the mix. Are you guys still expecting this to be a committee led by Darrell Henderson, or do you think the rookie Cam Akers starts to see a little bit more touches here?
I would think that they're going to continue to give it to the hot hand here and let Daryl Henderson run with it and just casually start working in Cam. But, it's easy for us to say one thing and think that that's a logical approach that coaches should take, but it's very often that coaches don't take the logical approach. So I don't know. I could see Cam coming in there and taking over, but I mean, Henderson deserves to keep his role pretty predominant here. I think. I mean, that's just my opinion, but he's been doing pretty well for the Rams.
What I'm looking at here, Ashton, Daryl Henderson had 15 touches for 38 yards. Okay. He did have the touchdown on the reception, but he averaged 2.5 yards per carry. And Cam Akers had 9 attempts for 61 yards, averaging 6.8 per carry.
And two different matchups, right?
No, this is
all last. Okay, well, that
was against the football team.
Against
I think it's gonna be. I don't even know. I think Cam Akers is gonna be definitely more involved in this past week. But man, I don't want any part of it. I don't. I hate it.
They like Daryl Henderson though, man. I mean, I don't see it being a full let go of Henderson. I mean,
no, I don't either. I think it's gonna be just more split.
Fair enough. All right, let's jump into the other options for the Rams. Obviously, 2 great wide receivers and Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. Are they every week starters at this point, even against a tough matchup with the 49ers?
Kupp, man. He's hit or miss. If he doesn't get that touchdown, it feels like you're worried the whole game until he does. Mm-hmm. But he's been getting a pretty consistent rate. But like you said, the 49ers are a top 10 defense against wide receivers. So you got to be a little worried here for Kupp. And, I think Woods is just always going to get it done. He's going to have the yards. And if he throws in the touchdown, even better.
Yeah, I'm way higher on Woods than I am Kupp. Even with a touchdown on Kupp's end, I think Woods is clearly the better option here.
Yep. Wide receiver 14 and 19 on the year. Woods 14, Kupp 19. So I think if you drafted either of these guys, you're probably starting them most weeks, if not every week. But what about Tyler Higbee? He was someone that everybody was very hype on coming into the year. Has been rather disappointing, except for the one big game. If you are a Higbee owner, are you still starting him, or are you looking for better options at this point?
I don't know if there's any better options out there. But he's just been too inconsistent. He's not getting the volume, and Gerald Everett is way too involved. It's hard. I think it's hard to start him right now, and I might talk about that later.
I would be looking at other options as well. They have a tough schedule this year too. I mean, they have San Francisco this week, then they have the Bears, then Miami, bye week 9. Have a decent matchup against the Seahawks, and then Tampa, and then San Francisco again. I mean, and it continues up until week 15. So they have a tough schedule, especially for secondary. So
fair enough. All right, let's jump over to the San Francisco side.
Okay.
Jimmy G was obviously benched last week when they were just absolutely destroyed by the Dolphins. I'm going to keep telling you that he was benched, even though he's going to claim that he was re-aggravating his injury.
But know what's going on.
With that in mind, were you starting any of these receivers anyway? Like, obviously George Kittle is in everybody's lineup. But in terms of Brandon Ayuk or Deebo Samuel, were they really in your consideration for this matchup? Someone is obviously going to get the tough matchup here, but with Jalen Ramsey. But what are your thoughts on these wide receivers?
Brandon Ayuk was climbing up there for me, but with the setback at QB here, that pushes that down the hill pretty quick.
Yeah, and this isn't a great matchup either. Like Stefen said, Ramsey's out there roaming the secondary. So yeah, I'm kind of in that same boat. Like, I need to see it on a consistent basis before I'm considering either of them. I think if anybody, it's Deebo is the guy you got to start, just because he's kind of he can be kind of a gadget player. And you saw that a little bit with Ayuk while he was out. That run play, that big play, Ashton was talking about climbing and ascending to the top. But yeah, I think you got to wait on it. But Debo would be the one I would start this week.
Gotcha. All right. What about this running back situation? Mostert returned last week and seemed to be
The house dog, the big boy.
seemed to be the clear-cut running back there for San Francisco. We thought we were going to get a lot more of a committee. We thought McKinnon would still be relevant with Mostert back, but just completely disappeared off the face of the earth for fantasy purposes. At this point, if Mostert's healthy, do you consider him the only startable option with Tevin Coleman still on IR?
Yes.
I'm not convinced yet on McKinnon. I think you could still. I feel like there's still value because like what he showed us with Mostert out and what he did with him at the beginning of the season, he was still a definitely playable running back. Last week was such a weird game for them. Like you would thought at that point that they'd start passing the ball a little bit more to your running backs, but they just could not figure out anything. You know, like we said, Jimmy G got badly injured and couldn't play the second half. He was not benched. It was nothing like that. But yeah, I think you kind of want to see it again. You want to see what that split looks like, or if Mostert's just going to completely take over. I would be hesitant to play McKinnon this week.
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody who played him last week and got half of a point is not feeling good about plugging him into the lineup again. So
was that a catch for 0 yards? And
he had one carry, one carry for 0 yards, so that he had 2 receptions for 5 yards. So 3 touches is not going to get it done.
That's not enough for sure.
Fantasy. All right, let's jump over to the next one. We have probably one of the most exciting games of the week. We have the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen and Buffalo didn't look great on Monday night or Tuesday night versus Tennessee. Are you still Josh Allen has been great every other game except for against Tennessee. And even in the first half of Tennessee, he had some really, really nice moments out there.
Yeah.
This is a tough Kansas City matchup. We've said it all year that Kansas City is one of those defenses that is sneaky good. So for Buffalo, are you worried about Josh Allen? Stefen Diggs was still eating up the targets even when Josh Allen was struggling, so he should be a go. But hopefully they get John Brown back this week. Maybe that was the issue. He didn't have that real second option.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, that things seemed a little bit off. But the Titans, man, they showed up with not having full regular practices, and they just definitely outplayed the Bills, and the Bills probably weren't ready for it. Probably didn't expect it. I know I didn't. I do think this is going to be a good game against the Chiefs. But man, I don't think I want to start John. I don't know if I'd start John Brown. He's trending towards playing this week. The Bee's knees, Cole Beasley looked pretty good, but the game is moved to Monday. By the way, people out there, it's Monday at 5. Just letting you know. Just the pushback from them playing on Tuesday. But yeah, I mean, I don't want any part. So Kansas City isn't great against the run. So Singletary could have a bounce back game. What do you got? What are your thoughts on Singletary?
I still don't feel great about playing Singletary. He has benefited with Zach Moss being out. He's kind of looked like Devin Singletary of last year in these last 3 weeks. He had 2 really nice weeks and then a disappointing week last week against Tennessee, or technically this week. But
yeah,
I don't feel great about starting Singletary. This is a tough matchup. I do expect Josh Allen to bounce back, but I don't know if that bounce back is going to benefit Devin Singletary. So I kind of expect Stefen Diggs to continue to feast. John Brown might have a chance to find the end zone, and Cole Beasley should be fine as a flex for a PPR league. He's gonna get targets and receptions. But yeah, I don't feel good about Singletary or Zach Moss.
Just to let you know, the Chiefs' defense is 24th worst against the run. Just letting you know, because I feel like they let them go and then just shut them down in the secondary. But yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's jump over to the Kansas City side. Obviously, Ryan Tannehill and AJ Brown and Jonnu Smith, like kind of everybody on the Tennessee side, had plenty of success against Buffalo. They are getting Tre'Davious White back this week. Does that concern you for Tyreek Hill? Tyreek Hill's been getting it done, but he's been getting it done on the back touchdowns rather than yards and big plays. Does Tre'Davious White being back give you any hesitation on Tyreek Hill?
No, not really.
That's it.
I mean,
I'm actually
just trying to keep it simple.
Yeah, I'm not too worried either, but it does make me kind of excited for Mecole Hardman. Sammy Watkins is out, so I think that's definitely a boost to him. And if Tre'Davious White is on Hill for most of the game, I think that's just going to open things up for Hardman. And, CEH, hopefully he'll catch some more passes before Lev Bell takes over. Just kidding. I don't think he will.
Yeah, I, on the other hand, am a little bit worried about Tyreek Hill, just because, he's been so good for fantasy in years past, just based on him having huge yardage games. This year, he's yet to eclipse 100 yards and has only eclipsed 80 yards one time on the season. But as we said, he has 4 touchdowns, 1 touchdown in 4 games and 3 for 78 last week. But it is worrisome for me. He's not getting as many targets and as many bombs as we expected. He did have that, I don't know how long of a pass it was like a 75-yard bomb of a touchdown last week that was called
beautiful.
Back. So I mean that's
has to
what
give
we
you a little bit of
optimism, right?
Those
that's
are supposed
Tyreek
to be
Hill.
there.
I think it could fall either way with Watkins falling out this week.
Right.
I think it could either be a really big game for Hardman or it could open up even more opportunity for Hill. So, they took an L this week, this past week. I think they're going to come out ready to rock. I know they have a tough matchup with Buffalo, but I'm expecting them to play a lot harder this week than we've seen in the past few weeks.
Yeah, I will say I do like Clyde Edwards-Helaire this week. I think with the news of Le'Veon Bell signing, I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is gonna come out this week trying to prove something, trying to prove that they drafted him in the first round for a reason, not to take away his touches with Le'Veon Bell. So I think he's gonna come out with something to prove and should have a nice game. All right,
nice.
I hope so.
I think he's top 15 running back this week. He finished his top 15 and half.
Does he find the end zone?
I'm thinking he finds end zone. They finally give it to him back on the goal line again, and he gets in this time, which is a welcome sight for him. All right, let's jump into the last matchup of the week, the Monday night game. We have the Arizona Cardinals versus the new quarterback-led Dallas Cowboys. Dallas has Andy Dalton the rest of the season, barring injury. What do you guys make of Andy Dalton in terms of this wide receiver group? We saw Amari Cooper has been extremely consistent so far with Dak. CeeDee Lamb has been great, and even Dalton Schultz. Michael Gallup has kind of been the odd man out, but Andy Dalton favored Gallup on that last drive that won them the game. So now that we have Andy Dalton under the helm, what do you expect this wide receiver situation to look like here?
We had talked about this earlier, and I think you had said something, along the lines of he's the best backup QB in the NFL, right?
That's correct.
So I think Stefen nailed it with that comment. I mean, if you're having to hand this over to another quarterback right now, Andy Dalton seems to be – I think the Cowboys did a great job bringing Andy Dalton into the organization. He's not Dak by any means, but he could still get the job done, especially with this solid receiving core. They're probably going to take a hit, but Andy's not going to run the ball either like Dak does. So I'm looking for maybe some more opportunity on some, passing touchdowns here in the red zone. So I'm not too worried. I mean, you're going to have to wait and see in another game or two to really understand how the rest of the season is going to unfold. But hopefully, them being able to come into that situation when Dak went down and Andy come in and they still come back and get the win. That should build up some confidence going into this week, and hopefully they can ride on that and continue to get it done.
Yeah, I almost played the sad piano again. I was really close to playing it once we started talking about not having Dak. But but as you guys requested, I refrained. I actually honestly just completely agree with Ashton. The one thing that kind of concerns me is Schultz didn't get a single target. He didn't. Dalton didn't look his way at all. And that's.
And his
I mean,
drive
obviously,
behind.
we didn't see a lot. We didn't see a lot of it, so it's hard to say from there. And they were down, or well, they were tied, and they needed to get down the field. But I just made me think of like when Jason Witten was like, he would always be there, check down for 10-yard, run out of bounds, blah blah blah. He didn't get any looks, but like Ashton said, I think we got to kind of wait and see that situation for the fringe guys. But at the same time, I think you could play Cooper and Lamb pretty confidently. I think Gallup's still been too inconsistent to know. I don't know. What do you think on that, Stefen?
Yeah, I mean, I think we don't have enough clarity. We don't know enough about how Andy Dalton's going to treat this offense. He's obviously a little bit older at this point. He's towards the end of his career now. But he's always been a great passer. Like in Cincinnati, he supported wide receivers. He supported tight ends in fantasy. Like I don't think he's, going to kill this wide receiver production for fantasy. I mean, a lot of people will tell you he's probably the best backup quarterback there is in the NFL. Like this guy's a starter on a lot of teams in the NFL if he was in a different situation. So I don't worry as much as a lot of people do. I think Cooper is probably going to return back to the Amari Cooper that we've seen in last year for Dallas, where he had his big games, he had his down games, but you're not going to see the consistency that you've seen with him. The one thing I will say is if you've enjoyed having Ezekiel Elliott so far this year, he's running back 3 on the year. But wait until you see an Andy Dalton-led Dallas Cowboys team with Zeke. They are going to completely feed him as much as he wants. He will be getting the ball a lot more. This will be a lot more of a run-heavy Cowboys team. So Zeke should skyrocket his production even more. If you're ever worried about playing Zeke, you definitely should not be. All right, let's jump over to the last team here, the Cardinals versus Dallas. Is there a possible Kenyon Drake start of the week once again?
I don't know. Are you going to take it?
Have we passed to that point of the season where we're just not there anymore?
I'm thinking about doing Chase Edmonds instead and seeing if it reverses the favor. I think you have to start him. I saw Edmonds as a popular start this week in a few places, and when I was doing some research. But I mean, you could probably even throw Christian Kirk in here for this one. It's just going to be just a passing good old time for the Arizona Cardinals. I'm sure they'll score plenty of points, but they're ultimately going to lose to the Cowboys, so it's whatever.
I sure hope so. Yeah, I mean, this running back situation is starting to get a little confusing with Chase Edmonds seeming to be a little bit more involved. He's still not getting the carries. I know he had a nice play last week. I think it was like a 20-something yard rush for a touchdown. But, I mean, he's had 3 carries, 4 and 6. Like, that's not enough of a rushing floor to really worry you too much about Kenyon Drake. I think this is still Kenyon Drake's backfield unless something happens here that completely changes this situation. Kenyon Drake hasn't been the greatest for fantasy so far, but I think you still got to hold tight. You still got to plug him into your lineups, especially against the Cowboys, and hope for great production. All right, that does it for our weekly matchups. Obviously, you're starting DeAndre Hopkins, Kyler Murray, so I didn't know we needed to stress that point.
Are you sure?
Let's jump into the starts and sits of the week. I'm going to actually reverse it on you guys this week, throw you guys a curveball. We're going to do sits first, and then we're going to end it on the high note, the starts of the week.
Ooh, okay.
So, Ashton, I know you've been prepared for weeks for your sets of the week for week 6. You've been preparing this since preseason. You're very excited about this week for your sits. So I'll let you lead the way. Who is your quarterback sit of the week?
It's Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow against the Colts. Hasn't been too impressive the past couple weeks. He's going against a tough Colts defense. The number 2, fewest fantasy points allowed to opposing quarterbacks. I'm not riding high on Joe Burrow this week. He's kind of limited in pass catchers this week as well. AJ Green's still out. Just not a good matchup. Avoid.
Does
avoid.
AJ Green even count as that? Because he hasn't been catching any passes.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, at all. Would
I
you
like
guys
it.
still start
ahead.
T. Higgins in this situation though?
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't want any part of that.
So yeah, all out.
Yeah,
All out.
I'd
on
play Tyler
Cincinnati right
Boyd,
now.
but like that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And like that's still scary. I'll go ahead and hop on in here with my QB set of the week, and it is Teddy Bridgewater, guys. I know this breaks all of your hearts. But Chicago has just been lights out against QBs this year and just teams in general. Their defense has been amazing. They're the number 2 defense against QBs. The highest points they've allowed was in week 1. That was the only time that someone scored over 15 points, and it was week 1 with no preseason. So, sorry, Teddy.
Mine is Jimmy G. I've already told you guys that multiple times today and in the last episode why this is a bad situation for Jimmy G. They're taking on the Rams. Aaron Donald was magnificent last week. This defense was great last week. We saw Jimmy G get benched against Miami. Like, I can go on and on about reasons why Jimmy G is a bad play this week. So he will be my sit of the week. All right, Jacob, let's lead it off for sits of the week at the running back position. Who do you got?
I talked about it earlier. I don't like it. It just didn't get that full workload, and Cam Akers was coming around. It's Darrell Henderson against San Francisco, one of the top 5 run defense. Not something you really want to mess around a bit, but also the 3-headed monster of Malcolm Brown, Cam Akers, and Darrell Henderson. Cam Akers looked better than him last week. Outside of the touchdowns, it's too tough to say with all 3 of them healthy. I was going to say McVay, but whatever. Sean McVay just can't decide. He wants to go through the hot hand. He wants to be like Kyle Shanahan, but this defense just makes me want none of it. So there you go.
Ash, who you got?
Running back.
That's
Guys,
the one.
listen, I got Frank Gore.
Whoa,
dude! He's gonna have so much more
Ageless
usage. He's
wonder.
probably
I know.
Like,
He's a hot pickup right now. I know. Listen, I don't want people to get confused with the fact that even though Le'Veon Bell is out, that Frank Gore is just going to be this running back hero that everyone's been looking for, because that's not going to be the case. Yes, he is returning back to Miami. He is a former
Revenge
Hurricane. No. So I just don't see it. I don't see it happening. I don't think he's going to be the answer. I would avoid. It's the Jets, and it's Frank Gore.
Well, he hasn't eclipsed 6 points yet on the season, so probably not the greatest person to be playing. My sit of the week is Miles Sanders versus the Baltimore Ravens. If you were a Sanders owner last week, you were happy. Miles Sanders was great for fantasy.
yeah, that was a miracle.
Right? So if you're looking at it from a stat line in terms of how many points he gave you, you're feeling great about Miles Sanders. But if you actually look at the game, you know what happened.
He was a 74-yard run.
Right. He was saved by a 74-yard touchdown run. But if you take that run out of his stat line, this is what his stat line ends up looking like. 10 rushes, 6 yards, and a touchdown. Are you happy with that if you're a Miles Sanders owner?
Not happy, not depressed, definitely upset.
Well, that would be.
But there's a touchdown.
That would have got you 6.6 points in fantasy.
He had no receptions?
0 receptions. Or no, he had 2 receptions for 19 yards. So
okay, so now you're stealing points from me. You're lying to me. He's approaching 10 points. Oh yeah, but yeah, no, I know what you're saying. It is definitely misleading,
right?
And the matchup isn't great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Miles Sanders is my sit of the week. I will lead us off at wide receiver. Ashton, you already asked the question, but T. Higgins is my wide receiver sit of the week versus the Indianapolis Colts. He's been great these last few weeks. But last week, Burrow, as you said, had a tough matchup, and we saw what a great defense could do against this rookie quarterback. The pressure kind of got to him. He was sailing some throws. He wasn't looking very good. So now he's got an even tougher matchup with this Colts defense, who's just been great against everybody. So I'm worried about T. Higgins this week. I wouldn't be plugging him into my lineup if I had him. So he's my wide receiver sit of the week. Who wants to take the next one?
I'll take it.
Go ahead.
I got Travis Fulgham. He's a hot pickup off the waiver wire this week, coming off of a good game against who did he play against? Steelers. Which was pretty impressive. He had 10 receptions, 13 targets for 152 yards and a touchdown. They are in serious need of pass catchers, but they are just struggling offensively in general. I think the only other option they really have is Ertz, unless they're dumping it off to Miles Sanders.
Hey, Greg Ward, dude, come on, show some respect.
Come on, man. But I mean, even Ertz isn't really getting the job done. So
he is not. He sucks.
I think Travis Fulgham's a great pickup to stash on your bench. I would wait and see how this game unfolds and see what kind of consistency he might have with the next game up. But until you start to see some game after game play here, I would just hold him on your bench. But definitely worth a pickup. But I wouldn't start him.
Fair. So I've got another person that kind of blew up last week after being inconsistent, and his name is Brandon Cooks.
Oof.
It's a tough call. They have a decent matchup this week, I think. Who are they playing again? I actually forgot. All I thought was
I'll tell you. They're playing the Titans.
The week before. He's been very inconsistent. It's just, I think people are going to chase those points and they're going to get disappointed, and Will Fuller will probably have the better game. And I still can't believe Stefen hasn't told me who they're playing.
The Titans. I said that.
Oh, the Titans. Okay. So look, I think Will Fuller is going to be the big guy there. All right. It's not a great matchup, honestly. Stephon Diggs had a decent game, but like I said, it's a mirage. It's a mirage, and he's just been too inconsistent.
It's a massage. Okay, he's gonna massage you.
He's gonna be laying on the sideline getting a massage because he's probably gonna get injured. You guys know how it goes. It's no big deal.
All right, tight end set of the week. Jacob, right back out of it again, but go for it. Who's your tight end set of the week?
Okay, I already talked about him a bit. It's Tyler Higbee. He used to be Tyler Higbeast. He is no longer that. He's just not getting the volume. He's not beating out Everett to get more touches. And Everett's looked pretty good. He's had a few touchdowns. And also the San Francisco D has only allowed one performance, 2 tight ends in total, over 10 points. And that was last week against the Dolphins. Mike Gesicki had a crazy game. The whole game was crazy. But other than that, no group of tight ends has scored more than 10 points. And I don't see that changing this week.
Ashton, what about yourself?
Sit of the week for tight end is Austin Hooper.
What a shocker, dude.
Playing against, I mean, who else?
He doesn't even change like his.
I don't even know why we do sit of the week.
Do you know that there's other tight ends?
We might as well just do just the startums and just the clear obvious sit-ums are everyone else we don't mention.
I'm gonna start skipping you at tight ends for the week.
I'm gonna start.
I'm just gonna rotate back and forth between Hayden Hurst and Austin Hooper, and that would be it.
Fair enough.
They're playing against the Steelers, who've only allowed the one touchdown, I think, against for a tight end with Noah Fant in week 2. They held Ingram and Zach Ertz for a combined 3 catches up for 15 yards on 13 targets. I mean, they have a pretty good holdback against tight ends. So I think he has a tough matchup. Plus Baker, while he said Mama didn't raise no wuss, still dealing with a rib injury. It was a rib injury, right? Yeah. I think they're going to have a tough matchup this week, so I would avoid them.
My set of the week is Robert Tonyan taking on Tampa Bay. I'm not going to give you guys drawn-out analysis of why he's my set of the week, but I'm here to tell you.
I didn't want one. Good, I didn't want one. I'm
here to tell you that if you're one of those guys who are thinking this 3 touchdown thing is going to happen every single week, you're mistaken. I'll tell you that. Yeah, as we said, Devontae Adams should be back on the field. Obviously, Devontae Adams is a lot more talented of a football player than Robert Tonyan is. So I'm expecting Aaron Rodgers to just go right back to his old buddy Devontae, and Robert Tonyan to kind of be an afterthought. And that's not just for this week. That's going forward.
Well, come on, give him a chance. You know what I mean?
All right, guys. As we said, let's move on to a happier note. Let's finish this strong. Let's finish this with our start of the week. Who wants to lead us off? Start us off on a high note. Quarterback.
I
start of the week.
do. Here
Well,
I come.
that's too bad. Ashton, who is your quarterback
Thank you.
start of the week?
It's Ryan
My buzzer.
Fitzpatrick.
I'm going to my buzzer right now.
I got Ryan Fitzpatrick. Look, playing against the Jets. That's it. Playing against the Jets.
There you go.
No, he's
That's great.
So there's only one QB that hasn't put up multiple touchdowns against the Jets this year. Do you want to guess who it is?
I know.
Without researching it.
It's ripping.
No.
Fuck. Doc.
Philip Rivers.
He's back at it again.
Nobody's gotten to this point of the show. We're an hour.
Yeah.
We're over an hour at this point.
It's Philip Rivers.
Same thing. Same thing as ripping, right?
Yeah, just an older version. The Jets have allowed 2 300-yard passers this year. Fitzpatrick has scored over 20 points in his last 4 games. We talked about him earlier. He's doing very well right now. We talked about his consistency. This is what you want to see, and he's got a tremendous matchup against the Jets this week. It's going to continue. I think he's definitely worth a start.
Very good. And I'm
All
going
right.
to.
I was gonna say, all right, Jacob. Here we go. Okay.
I was gonna. So what I was going to say is, I'm going to keep on with the Ryan
double Ryans.
The Ryan theme here, and it is Ryan Tannehill. Thrill. I changed his name,
Ooh,
but
wow,
it's
wow,
still
wow,
him.
wow.
Ryan Tannehill. He looked great against the Buffalo Bills, which is not an easy defense, and he did it without Corey Davis out there, and AJ Brown's back, and they have a great connection. And Jonnu Smith was looking like a stud, and it's going to be a great matchup for him as well against the Houston defense. So I'm really pumped up. Actually, I'm thrilled. Tana thrilled. Remember when I said that earlier?
I remember that. Yep.
I'm coming back to it.
Trademark that.
Yeah, you only said it about 20 seconds ago, so it's still in my mind.
I knew it was going to happen tonight.
That's 2 noises within the last minute now. We made a mistake. All right, I'm going to take advantage of this matchup that I did last week with the Deshaun Watson versus Jacksonville. Now I'm going to take Matt Stafford versus Jacksonville. Short and sweet. Jacksonville has now given up 3 top 10 performances out of 5 weeks. Ryan Tannehill, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and Deshaun Watson. So Matthew Stafford, welcome to top 10 quarterback status on the week. This is your time to shine, buddy. You're my start of the week. All right. Jacob, who is your running back start of the week? Any more Ryans?
No. Actually, I'm trying to think if there are any Ryan running backs out there.
It was Ryan Kelly at one point.
Yeah, no longer. So I've got Antonio Gibson, and he's playing the Giants.
Nice. Ashton?
Myles Gaskin. I'm keeping it on the Miami train here.
Oh, start them all your Miamis.
It's the Jets again. I mean, the matchup's just too good. The Jets have allowed 8 touchdowns to opposing RBs, 4 to gain 75 total yards, and 3 to catch at least 4 passes in a game. I expect with this matchup, and like I just said earlier, Fitzpatrick playing the way he is, he's going to get some decent looks at receiving the ball and the play game this week, as well as opening up the field with his running ability. So it's a good matchup. Keep him on. Good.
My running back start of the week is Alexander Madison versus the Atlanta Falcons. We take advantage of this Falcons matchup every week. There will always be someone in our start of the weeks versus Atlanta. We saw it last week when Dalvin Cook went out. Alexander Madison filled in nicely to the tune of 136 yards
in the second half alone. So, I mean, expect him to continue getting all of the work for this Minnesota-led offense. And I expect him to be in the running back one conversation this week. So if he picked up a waiver wire, and he should be, Mike Davis-esque for you.
Thank you for that. That was really nice.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to jump into wide receiver start of the week. So I'm going to lead us off as well.
Okay.
My wide receivers
Yep.
start of the week is Kenny G versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. I saw your eyes shoot up to the other screen. I knew you were looking for it.
You know nothing.
I'm gonna do a little stack attack as Jacob has called it.
Double stack attack
with my Matt Stafford Kenny G stack here.
That's
I've already
really
told
nice.
you Jacksonville gives up points to quarterbacks, therefore they give up points to wide receivers. Has been healthy for 2 games this season, but I expect him to be back at full strength. Scored 14 points in both games that he's played, but hasn't got up for the yards. He's only got to 62 yards so far in receiving, but has scored touchdowns both games. So I'm looking for him to go over 100 yards this week and find the end zone once again. Who you guys got? Wide receiver start of the week.
I'll come at you with a here we go. Here I come. Juju Smith-Schuster. He's gonna do it. You know what's gonna happen? I'm guaranteeing this is a 100% Jacob guarantee. He will have a touchdown this week and about 50 yards to go with it. That's probably where it's gonna be. Actually, they're playing the Browns, and they're the 30th in the league against wide receivers. Stefen was talking trash about Big Ben, so I'm assuming that's going to mean he's going to have an even better week this week. And yeah, it's just really all going to come together, and he's going to have some touchdowns. Deontay Johnson, I'm not exactly sure what's going on with him. I know, I don't know if we talked about it, but he's kind of questionable coming into it. So
they're saying he should be back.
It's same thing. It just draws attention away from Juju. So it works in his favor either way.
All right.
Thank you.
I got Mecole Hardman with Sammy Watkins out. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but with Sammy Watkins out, good, tough matchup against Buffalo, but I think the opportunity is going to be there. I think they're going to come out firing. I think it's going to be a pass-heavy game. And Mecole's best games this year have been against really tough secondaries. I mean, his 2 big games were week 3 against Baltimore and week 4 against New England. He hasn't had a tremendous amount of targets, but I expect that to be different this week. I expect him to have at least 7+ targets this week. So I'm looking for him to have another big game.
That's the riskiest start of the week so far. So I'm going to keep an eye out for that one, and I'll be reaching out to you to
if I'm
see
wrong,
how
we're not going to talk about it next week, but
we never do. Notes. I think we need to hold each other accountable.
We don't.
Maybe we will
next
personally.
year.
I'll text you about
next
it.
year.
Look, I'll let you know how my picks go, and then we'll see if we're going to talk about it. Okay?
All right. Last but certainly least.
The least.
Tight ends. Tight end starts of the week. I'll go ahead and lead us off once more. Mine is Noah Fant on the condition that Noah Fant plays this week. Because obviously
you're bringing conditions into this.
He has to play in order for him to be the start of the week. I've loved what I've seen of Noah Fant this year when he's healthy. Every game I've seen him play, I've been telling Jacob and telling Ashton that if this guy stays healthy, he is a top 5 tight end in this league, top 5 tight end for fantasy, and should be considered so, regardless of the matchup. New England's not the greatest matchup, but if Drew Lock is back under center and Noah Fant is healthy and ready to go, I think he's too special of a player to not start. Should have another great game. Should he be healthy? Again, he has to be healthy.
Okay, if you say so.
Who you guys got as your tight end start of the week?
Go ahead, Jacob.
I am keeping that Detroit Lions extravaganza, the party. The triple stack is what they call it. I mean, honestly, it's a great matchup, and he's been pretty good this year. I think he's like
You have to say his name.
TJ
Hawkinson.
TJ Hawkstrap. Sorry, TJ Hawkinson. I think he's going to be a good play this week against those Jacksonville Jaguars, and they do have the 25th worst defense against the tight end. It's not good, but TJ's going to be great.
Yeah, I mean, their athletic linebacker Miles Jack might be out again as well, so that could open things up even more for him. Ashton, what about you? Tight end start of the week.
You're not ready for my tight end.
Fine. All right, we'll end it early then.
All right, y'all have a good night. All right.
Ashton, who you got?
I'm gonna combat Stefen on his sit of the week, and I'm gonna suggest you start Robert Tonyan.
No, you're giving conflicting advice.
Well, we're just gonna take a gamble and see which two of our listeners are gonna go with.
We've done this before in weeks past.
All right. Well, we're gonna ride it out.
How did
man.
that one turn out? Do you guys remember? No, because we didn't talk about it. So we don't even know what it is.
Look, we'll do some analyzing when the season's over, and we'll come up with a theory here. But look, you're saying that he's not going to have another great game. He probably won't have another game with 3 touchdowns, but he's clearly got a connection with Aaron Rodgers. He's scored the last 3 games he's played. He is a top 5 tight end in the league right now with his points. I don't think it's risky at all to start him.
Wow.
And I think he's going to get plenty of opportunity and probably see the end zone this week as well. So
You know what, Ashton?
y'all do what's right. Listen to me and start Robert Tonyan.
I will tell you, I have looked back.
Thank you.
I will tell you right
hero.
now, I looked back in our archives very quickly. I'm very quick in my research to figure out what that conflicting start sit was in weeks past. It was Hayden Hurst in week 3 against the Chicago Bears. I said you should sit Hayden Hurst. Ashton, you said we should start Hayden Hurst.
Mm-hmm.
He had a
Hayden-
touchdown.
Hayden Hurst's stat line on the week was 1 reception for 1 yard
Mm-hmm.
and 1 touchdown. He gave you the
So-
Mike Evans special.
So he was
Great call, Ashton. Great
100
call out of you.
What are you talking about? That's 100% efficiency there. He was 1 for 1. I don't know what y'all expect from me.
Well,
That's exactly what I wanted.
If you wanted 6.6 points, that was a great pick out of you.
That's
Thank
pretty
you.
good for a tight end.
That will do. All right, guys. Well, that does it for week 6. As we said, make sure to check out all of our socials. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, probably whatever other social media is out there. We're also available to listen and to stream on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all the podcasts.
All of them.
So make sure to give us a listen and a like. But if you guys don't have anything else, we will say goodbye for week 6.
I would just want everyone to know that I am going to continue adding sound drops, and I'm just really going to bring some pizzazz to this. I know you're all making it all the way to the end of this episode, so thank you and good night.
It's just going to be sound drops. No football, just sound drops.
Start them sound drops.
Make a compilation video of all the sound drops.
I'm still making that compilation video of Ashton talking about Gronk.
To be honest, that video would be too long.